In this project, we are going to create a neurographic line art with patterns inside and some gradients with watercolor. It's really fun. I hope you stick around and enjoy. We are going to create some neurographic art. And so I wanted to ask you, what does the word neurographic mean? You might know the word neuro and you might know the word graphic, but when you put them together, what do they mean? The definition kind of helps us a little bit, but there's not many words that I actually know. I do know individuals and brain, so maybe it has something to do with the brain. Neuro, brain. Okay. Graphic, drawing. Yeah. So the definition is a way to allow a person to transform one's stress and fear by drawing free-form lines and then later using a specific algorithm to transfer the stress into a beautiful work of art. Wow, that's a big definition. It was created by Pavel Piscarev, who was a psychologist, and it really is a really cool way to draw. So here are pictures of neurons in a human brain, and you can see lines, and then where the lines meet, they're connected by kind of a web of material. So that's kind of the start of neurographic drawing. Here are some examples of neurographic art by various artists, and you can see that they use shapes, organic shapes and lines and color to fill in. Every one of them is different. This one has geometric shapes, and we can use those as well. Then they kind of start to be a little bit more less abstract and more descriptive. So you can see an eye or a person's face. You can see a tree and a rose. And here is a bird. So in this project or an assignment, we are not going to actually draw anything. We're going to keep it abstract. So this is our process that we're going to go through, and so I'm going to walk you through that process today. So our materials are a piece of mixed media paper, tape, circle templates, and a Sharpie. So step one is to take the tape and mask off all four sides to create a border. The next step is to take some circle templates and draw some circles, and the circles can go off the border and off the page, or they can just go anywhere on the page. And I'm using a black Sharpie to trace my circles, and you can find anything that's a circle to trace. I happen to have an old CD. The inside of the tape dispenser or the tape works really well, and then of course circle templates. The next step is to start from one edge and make a continuous line through the circles, connecting the circles, dissecting the circles, creating some interior spaces for us to fill in. So wherever there is an intersection between two lines, for each of the four sides, you're going to make a little U like this that starts on one line and ends on the other line. And then the little space, that little corner, you're going to fill in and make it kind of smooth. So for each intersection, there'll be four of these little U's, one in each side or quadrant. And then just go to the next intersection and make some more U's. Now, when it gets to a place like this where there's tons, or not tons, but a few different lines intersecting, you're still going to make your U's. It might just end up being kind of a bigger blob there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some watercolor in a gradient. So I wanted to practice some gradients first. So I have a scrap piece of paper here with my watercolors and a brush, and I have some water off to the side. And we're going to do a gradient. And what a gradient is color that goes from saturated to not saturated, or value that goes from dark to light. And so this is really easily done with watercolors. So the first step, I'm just getting some water down in my pans of watercolors, just dropping some water in to activate the color so that they can get nice and wet, ready for us to paint with. And then the first step to a gradient is getting just clear water on your brush and putting water on the paper. And we're just going to do it in kind of like a rectangle.
Bryce, you watching? Water on my paintbrush, and I just paint the water.
So you can see it's only water going on the paper that's clear and clean. And I'm creating kind of a little puddle. So I don't want to be shy with the water. I want it to be puddly.
So then, once the paper is wet, you can see it's starting to curl.
You can see the paper starting to curl. That's totally normal. Now I'm going to get my brush saturated with color and just add color to one side, and you can see it grow. That's really awesome. So I'm just adding a little bit more color. Make sure your color is also really watery, really full of water. Then I'm going to clean my brush off, and I'm just going to take water on my brush, no pigment. And on the right edge, I'm going to start to pull the pigment towards the right. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush off again, and I'm going to do it again. And every time I do this, I get a little lighter value or saturation on the right. And so we're going from dark to light. So if it's not dark enough, you can add more pigment on the left and then clean your brush, and the right side is just water. My water's a little stained red or pink, and that's okay. But I can move this pigment and this water around in this uh, rectangle so that it goes from dark to light. So I'm going to do another one here and just show you the process again.
Because once you
Lots of
get
water, tons of
the real
water.
one,
Beginners don't use enough water.
okay? So maybe I'll
I think I'll
go
do blue
gradient.
this
Now I'll
time.
go from right to left.
Do it on the other side. It doesn't matter which direction you go. It's getting lots of pigment there. And if I put enough water down to begin with, it's going to start growing towards the left or towards the water.
Don't do enough of is water. Okay? I'm going to
And I'm
start
just
just
taking
with
a
a watery
clean
brush.
brush and pulling some of the pigment into the water, cleaning my brush again with lots of water, pulling it over, and you can see it starts to get lighter as it goes towards the left.
There shouldn't be any real like lines between values. It should just kind of all mesh and move, right? Okay, so you're going to do that 3 times. So let me do one more here.
Okay, I'm going to do one last one
Because
here real
each
quick.
little space, you're going to do a gradient in. Okay, and you can choose in your artwork to do a gradient with, or choose a few colors, or you could use all colors. You could do like a rainbow of colors. Okay, so then again, just water on my brush and encouraging some of that pigment over to the other side. Okay, but it's the darkest on one side and then light on the other. And we'll be turning these in. So, but once you practice,
So that was
you
our
get 3
practice with gradients,
practices.
and once it's dry, you'll glue it into your journal as a record of your practice. And I'm going to put this off to the side, hope it doesn't drip, and start on my neurographic art. So in every section,
And like
I
I
am going to
said,
do a
you
gradient.
can choose just a few colors.
Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's top to bottom or left to right.
But here's the trick. Really important. Wherever there is water, water will flow. So I don't want to do, yeah, but you're gonna say, wow, now make fun of me now, but when you start doing your painting, you're gonna go, oh crap, she was right. Okay, so
And you might want to think about color
if I do
choice.
a section
So
right
for me,
here,
I'm just going to do one color or two colors. Some students choose to do all the colors like a rainbow. Some students choose to do their favorite colors. Some students even mix their own colors, and I'll kind of show you that a little bit. So we're going to start with the first step. Oop, I forgot. Actually, the first step is just water. So just water.
just water in the section that I'm going to paint. Just water.
Getting it nice and puddly.
And this is where you want to be kind of careful. Okay?
Then I'll add my pigment
Then I'm going to change my
and
paint.
choose which side you want to add it to. For this one, I'm going to add it to the top. And then I'm going to clean my brush and only use a clean brush with water to pull that pigment towards the other side of the section.
Encourage that paint to the other side. Okay? That's a gradient.
That looks awesome.
Now,
So I don't want to
if you
do
want
a
to do
section
that,
next
go
to
the other
it because water flows into water. So I'm going to go over away from that wet section, get another section that I can paint in, and let that section dry. So it's the same thing. Put water down, add pigment with a clean wet brush, pull the pigment to the other side. And you can see you can go from top to bottom or left to right or right to left or whatever, bottom to top. So I'm just let you watch me paint a little bit.
Okay, and all you're getting is this variation of um, saturation, right? Okay, and then I'm going to go, maybe I'll go over here, nice big space here, fill it in with water. So why am I not doing like the spaces right next to it? You guys know why? Yeah, it'll totally mix in. Okay, cool. So yeah, it'll totally mix in if I put it next to each other. Now, what if I want a mix between orange and yellow? Well, what I can do is I can take
One
some
of the
orange
things
and
that
put
makes
yellow
it
there,
interesting is if you mix a little bit of your own
or then
paint. So
add
here I'm
yellow
at the
or
top of the screen, I'm putting yellow and orange together to make a yellow orange or kind of a light orange. And mixing is a really great way to make your own custom colors. I've seen some great colors from students mixing just this basic primary set. So here is kind of a orange, yellow, yellow, orange. You can see it's not as dark as the orange and not as light as the yellow. So even though I only have a few colors in my watercolor palette, I can make more by combining them. And think about what colors combined together do. If I were to add a little bit of the opposite color to my color, so the opposite of orange is blue, it would turn it a little bit browner and make it a little bit less sharp and bright of a color. So that's an option. I've also seen students in one section go from one color to another. So instead of just doing one color, maybe going from orange and then fading it out into light orange, and then the other side starting at red and fading it out towards the orange. And so you guys can do any of and all of these things and kind of make it your own. So after your painting is done and you're letting it dry, I want you to look at some Zentangle patterns because we are going to draw with pen on top of our color. So Zentangles are just line patterns, and you can find all sorts of them on the internet. There's some really great ones here that I had never seen before. You can make your own line patterns, but if you're looking for a pattern and you don't want to think too much, just Google Zentangle and look at the images. There's some really simple ones here that you can see that I could totally do in some of those spaces. So here I've already started, I have my pen and I'm just in one space doing one pattern. And then every space, I'm going to do a different pattern. And you're like, are you going to do patterns in the small spaces? Yes. Every space, a different pattern. And it's going to look fabulous. So here is my finished drawing, and the last step is just to take off the tape, and you just want to be really careful peeling the tape back. It's been on there a while, so you don't want to tear the paper. Just want to go slowly. If you get a little bit of paper there, just do your best. So here is the finished result. After I took the tape off, I signed it right down here, and I actually just taped it into my journal, but if you wanted to frame it, you could do that too. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!